going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
Let's talk about Ksi'S fighting Viddal Riley. Just before we talk about that actual fight, coming off the back of, I'll say a mixed year. He called it shit, for being honest, this year. 2 defeats, ones that he didn't want. Obviously, lessons will be learnt, and he did manage to get himself on Sky. He'll be fighting again on Sky. So I suppose he did get some experiences under his belt. But how do you kind of assess his 2022? Because, like I said, lessons learnt, but not really a 2022 that he would have wanted by any stretch.
You could look at it that way. He could look at it that way. Or he could look at it that it was a very, very, very productive 2022. Because he came off the back, he beat some guy who was 7-0. That fight got him signed by his manager now. LCS doing a great job for him, getting good opportunities. So had he not had that fight, he wouldn't have had the next fight. Unfortunately, we lost the next fight. He was only 2-0. He was good. Very good. There was nothing really to see of him. We wanted to test Ksi'S. And Ksi'S after that fight was a completely different fighter. It humbled him a lot. You know, it showed us a lot that he's got a lot of bollocks. He got dropped by this fella. That bloke, I think now is 5-0 with 4 knockouts. The only one he didn't knock out was Ksi'S. And all 5 of his opponents were undefeated. So, and he got dropped hard, got dropped bad, got up, carried on, won a few rounds after that, and showed a lot and learned a lot from that fight.
You know, I took my first loss, and it was a learning fight. You know, I shouldn't have fought. I had my amateur team telling me, why did you take a fight on pretty much 24 hours, 48 hours notice? Turns out the guy weren't just 2-0 as a pro boxer, it was 24 fights as a kickboxer. And as you know, we could see from a lot of people, not just in boxing, but also, you know, the people crossing over from kickboxing to boxing and vice versa. You've got that experience. So it was a learning opportunity, you know. Got my arse handed to me a little bit. Well, I lost some points, so not really. But, you know, it's one of them that it's made me realise who I am, what I'm about. And as everyone said that night, you know, I showed who Braveheart really is. So I can only, you know, take lessons from that. Mistakes that won't be made again.
Anyone on the Sky Sports, an armour boxer, got dropped in a first round in a 3-round fight. It's pretty hard to win. I would say he won the majority of the rest of the fight. So if he hadn't got knocked down, he would have won the fight. You see what I mean? But again, learnt a lot, gave a lot of exposure. So those 2 fights have probably brought him to where he is now. Do you understand what I mean? If he hadn't got on that platform, maybe he wouldn't have got this fight. If he hadn't had that first loss, he wouldn't have learned the lesson he's got. He's like a completely different bloke.
And then the Sky Show, that was good. Saw your mate Razza. Don't know what it is about us West London boys. Everywhere. Anyway, so again, had a few issues with that. We won't go into much detail about it here. I'll talk to you off camera and I'll, you know, suit you. But stuff will come out eventually when I want it to, if I want it to. But I had some stuff going on in camp, out of camp, you know, stuff like that. So I was really, a lot of people were telling me not to fight. But it being Sky Sports, it being the Boxer series, I weren't looking at the issues and whatnot. I was looking at, I'm going to get a lot of exposure, whatever happens. You know, speaking with Ellis Zorro, you know, me and him, we had a chat, you know, and said the same, you know, told him what had happened, and he goes, well, look, man, you got a bit of exposure, which is what it is, you know, and, you know, alhamdulillah, you know, thanks to God that I got the opportunity, got the exposure. It didn't go my way. I got dropped. You know, people seen that, this guy isn't just a big puncher, he's susceptible as well. I heard people saying about, like, Amir Khan, glass chin. So, you know, stuff like that. But it's one of them things that you take lessons from it. And I can only go forward and improve as a boxer.
I don't know if you remember, there was the first interview you did with him where he called himself, you know, like a mix of like Ali, Frazier, Sugar Ray Leonard. That humbled him massively, man. And he's come on leaps and bounds since then. And so if you think about it like that in a roundabout way, it's been a very productive. Hasn't really set him back because he wasn't fun on big shows in the first place. he was fighting on small horse shows in leisure centres, and he just went straight back to that anyway. You know, so now he's just going to be up there. I hope he's going to prove himself. But I know he's going to prove himself. KSI's mate, February 11th, and yeah, we're ready to go, man.
I was upset, you know, reduced to tears, you know, the lump in your throat where it's like, do I really want to do that? For about 2 days, not even 2 days, about a week I was retired. I'd effed boxing off, forget about it, see you later. I had my license renewal coming up. I was like, yeah, you know, forget about that. I'm not renewing it. I've had my fun as a boxer. That's it. See you later. Then, as I sort of got come to terms with the defeat, once I sort of accepted, you know what, you're not this force. You're not this immovable object. You know, you're not someone who can just walk through everyone. Sometimes there is a little bit of finesse needed, and that's the lesson that I learned from that there's always finesse in everything. You can't just try and walk through anything and everyone. There's different styles for different fights. There's different ways to box. Come forward, move back, whichever way it is, there's different ways to approach everything. And that fight helped me learn that.
Yeah, just a quick one on Viddal. Obviously, people who are kind of in the boxing circle would have known about him before. Kind of he hit that mainstream sort of fame, as you said, working with KSI. Took a couple of year gap out of the ring. I know he had a few fights when he started with Mayweather Promotions, but Sky seemed eager to push him. He's had a couple of show reel kind of performances where he's hitting people and they're going down. But I suppose it's probably a closer fight than people will give it credit for, because like I said, Viddal is being pushed very hard. But for Viddal, this is no turnover, and for Ksi'S, it's a massive opportunity.
Huge opportunity, man. You know, it's not as if he was like some ex-Olympian we're going in with. It's not as if we've had 2 weeks' notice to prepare for the fight. And Ksi'S is always fit. He doesn't drink, doesn't eat bad. And he lives in the gym, already training before we found out he was going to fight him. And then he got 7 weeks' notice, whatever it was. He's had plenty of time to train for it. And as I said, it's not as if we're going in with some ex-Olympian who's, you know, knocking people out in amazing fashion, because it's not. He is a good fighter. I'm not taking anything away from him. We're fully focused. Gonna have a hard night. We're gonna go in with the best version of KSI's mates we could possibly get. But yeah, I don't really think it's. I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as some people might say. I think it's a proper 50-50. And there's no pressure on us. You know, no one's really seen what he's been working on since those. You can't take anything away from the ultimate boxer. 3-round fight is just a sprint. It's like everyone's gone back to the amateurs. There's not really anything else on Ksi'S, so he's not going to know what we're going to bring to the table. Whereas he's exposed, he's everywhere. Everyone knows exactly what he's been doing. You know, and if he comes out running us like he did in his last fight, he's in for a big surprise, and he's in a lot of trouble.
Well, I see it as I'll be deadly serious about this. Win this fight, I'm fighting KSI. That's it. Nah, I'm messing about. I reckon what we'll get is a good boxing match with a bit of a, you know, mano a mano, hombre a hombre, hand to hand, man to man, a bit of a guerra, a bit of a war. But that will only come when I think both of us are fatigued enough to think, you know what, we'll just throw the kitchen sink at the guy now.
I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something. Completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.